when switching between forms of linear equations, there are kind of 5 pieces of information that we can start with and get to anywhere else that we need to. Okay. First one, we could start with slope-intercept form. We could start with point-slope form. We could start with standard form. We could start with our 2 intercepts. Or we can start with 2 ordered pairs. Okay. We're going to learn how to move from one piece of information to the next and what the logical flow of that might be. Okay, so what we're going to start with, we're going to start with our 2 intercepts. Okay, so starting with our 2 intercepts, there's really one logical place we can go. Okay, and that logical place is slope. All right. So let's find our slope given the intercepts of 0, -7, and 35/3, 0. Okay. So we know that the slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we have x1, y1, x2, y2. This is going to be 0 minus -7 over 35/3 minus 0. This is 7 over 35/3. Now this may seem confusing, but remember, we're just dividing by a fraction here. This is really 7/1 divided by 35/3. Okay. When we do this, let's keep flip change. So this is 7/1 times 3/35. And this ends up being 3/5. Okay. So we know our slope m equals 3/5. Okay. That is the most logical place to start. It's really kind of the only place we can go with the information we have. But given our intercepts and having found our slope, we can now go one more logical step. Okay. And that logical step is to slope-intercept form. Okay. We have our slope. We have our y-intercept. So given our slope and our y-intercept, we can write our equation. If m equals 3/5 and v equals -7, then our equation is y equals 3/5 x minus 7. So given our intercepts, we can go to slope-intercept form. Moving on, let's see where we can go starting with slope-intercept form. Okay. Given slope-intercept form, there are a couple places we can go. So we're going to take a look at those situations. The obvious one is to our y-intercept. Okay, that's just our b. Right. So we already know what that is. It's our y-intercept, but a less obvious place is finding ordered pairs. Okay, finding ordered pairs. This is a really useful place. This is a really useful form to find ordered pairs. So let's say I want to find ordered pairs of points that go with an x value of 10, but we don't know the y value, and a y value of -10, but we don't know the x value. Okay. So how can we find these? We're going to use our same equation as before. Y equals 3/5 x minus 7. Okay. In order to find this first blank, all we're going to do is plug in 10 for x. So we have y equals 3/5 times 10 minus 7. This is 6 minus 7. So y equals -1. So we have an ordered pair of 10, -1. The second ordered pair is not as obvious. Okay. In this case, we're given the y value, we have to find x. So we're going to replace y with -10. So it's going to be -10 equals 3/5 x minus 7. Okay. And now we have to solve for x. We got 7. We have -3 equals 3/5 x. We multiply by the reciprocal of 5/3. We end up with x equals -5. It's the ordered pair of 10, -1, and -5, -10. Okay. There's one more place where we can go, starting with slope-intercept form. And that is to standard form. Okay. There's not any great way to get to standard form, but this is probably the best option. Okay. This is probably our best option. So again, starting with our slope-intercept form of y equals 3/5 x minus 7. We need to get this into ax plus by equals c. Okay. So we need to get x and y on the same side of the equation to start. So we're going to subtract 3/5 x. Okay. We have -3/5 x plus y equals -7. Now remember, we can't have any fractions in standard form, and our a value has to be positive. Okay. So in order to clear the fractions, we need to multiply everything by the denominator. Okay. What about the denominator that all of the denominators go into? In this case, it's just going to be 5. And since we have to cancel out that negative, we're going to multiply everything by -5. It is okay if the coefficient for y or if c are negative, but a must be positive. So let's multiply everything by -5. And when we do that, we end up with 3x minus 5y equals 35. And that is standard form. Now, given standard form, there are a couple places we can go from here, both of which we have the pieces of information already, but the process of how we get there is still important that we learn. Okay. The first one is getting to our intercepts. Our x-intercept, and y-intercept. We know how to find this. So given the equation 3x minus 5y equals 35, well, we know the cover-up method. We cover up x, well, that means x equals 0. Now we have the one-step equation of -5y equals 35, divided by -5. We end up with -7. Okay. Also, reset up the equation. 3x minus 5y equals 35. Cover up y. Well, that means we have equation 3x equals 35. We subtract, sorry, we divide by 3x minus 8. Sorry. We divide by 3. Find it with x equals 35 over 3. Okay. Now that's a pretty obvious place to get to from standard form. The other spot that's pretty easy is getting to slope intercept form. So going from standard form to slope intercepts. Okay. Now this is undoing what we did in order to get standard form, but it's basically just solving for y. We have 3x minus 5y equals 35 minus 3x. We're going to push that in front of that negative 35, in front of that 35 rather. So we have negative 5y equals negative 3x plus 35. Don't forget about that negative. That sticks to the y. We divide everything by negative 5. If y equals positive 3/5 x minus 7. Okay. Now, you may have noticed up until this point, we have not talked about slope or point slope form. We've talked about basically everything else, but not point slope form. Before we get to point slope form, we're going to refresh ourselves on how we can get there. We're going to start with two ordered pairs. Two ordered pairs. Okay. Starting from two ordered pairs, there's really only one place we can go, and that's slope. And so we're going to use the two ordered pairs we used earlier, 10, negative 1, and negative 5, negative 10. Okay. So given these two ordered pairs, we use the slope formula, negative 10 minus 10 over negative, so sorry, made a mistake there. Negative 10 minus negative 1 over negative 5 minus 10. My apologies. Negative 10 minus negative 1, that is negative 9. Negative 5 minus 10, that's negative 15. And what do you know? That reduces down to 3 over 5. Yeah. So m equals 3 over 5. Now, we have an ordered pair. We have a slope. We have a point, we have a slope. That means we're going to point slope form. Okay. It does not matter which ordered pair we use. We can use either one. I'm going to show you with both. With this ordered pair of 10, negative 1, slope of 3/5, we have y minus negative 1. Of course, you can write that as y plus 1 equals 3 over 5 times x minus 10. Okay. Similarly, if we use negative 5, negative 10, we have y minus negative 10 equals 3/5 times x minus negative 5. I'm going to rewrite both these equations now, replacing these double minuses with plus. This is y plus 1 equals 3 over 5 times x minus 10. This is y plus 10 equals 3 over 5 times x plus 5. Okay. Now, given point slope form, we have here, there are only kind of a couple things we can do. We can identify our ordered pair, which we need to be able to do. Okay. 10, negative 1, -5, -10. But really, given point slope form, okay, given point slope form, place that we're going is slope intercept. Okay. So we distribute y plus 1 equals 3/5 x minus 6. And when we subtract 1, we have y equals 3/5 x minus 7. On the other equation, we distribute. We have y plus 10 equals 3/5 x plus 3 minus 10. We have y equals 3/5 x minus 7. Okay. So given all that information, we know how to get from slope intercept form to point slope form, standard form to get to our two intercepts and to find ordered pairs. Okay. The one that may not have been the most clear that we didn't directly go over is how to get from slope intercept form to point slope form, but we know how to find our ordered pairs from slope intercept form. Therefore, we can get to point slope. Okay.